Hey guys, David here, and welcome to Digital Outlook. Guys, I sure hope you've been having an amazing day thus far. Now guys, I have got a big beef to let out, and I think we all know what it is. This whole thing that David Sacks, the build up for it and all that, guys, what a disappointment. I was expecting to hear a whole lot more than what we actually heard. Now, we did hear some good stuff in there, and I'm going to touch base on it. But come on, with all of the pomp and stuff that is put out there, they could have, and they had them all lined up there, all those senators and this and that and all that. I think they could have given us a lot more than what they actually did. And so guys, in my estimation, the whole thing sucked because we were expecting to hear some major news drops and we did not get any, other than the fact that, hey, they're gonna move forward with legislation. Hey, we all knew that. We know that Fit 21 is getting actually through there. They're working out in their working groups and we're gonna see it get to the president's desk eventually. We all know that. They could have talked about, hey, the potential of the strategic reserve. They could have talked about the sovereign wealth. Now, a question was asked of David Sacks about the sovereign wealth, and the guy didn't even really address it. He actually put it off to somebody else, which I really think is actually a shame. What an opportunity that I think was totally missed. Now, I really believe what they are intending on doing here, guys, I think as sincere can be. I do believe that we are going to see some major catalysts take place. And perhaps they weren't just out ready to tell it all and they wanted to keep the momentum going, but it was actually poorly played in my estimation. Because guys, right now you've got this space, they're all right on pins and needles. We just went through one of the biggest crashes in the crypto market that this space has ever seen in terms of liquidations into the billions of dollars. And these guys know it. David Sacks for certain has his pulse on, what's going on in these markets. And to not even address or kind of bring some alleviation to that, I think was a missed opportunity. And I think we need to acknowledge that it wasn't as much as what it could be. Now, did they talk about, hey, getting these things and absolutely solidifying the US? And it sounded like, guys, they were really going to attack this whole regulation by enforcement. Now, this is where a lot of us are coming out there and we are believing that, hey, when you see some of these guys taking office like they plan on doing and Paul Atkins taking over the SEC, that I think that they're holding back the ending of this SEC lawsuit on there so that Paul can actually get that feather in his cap, having been the one to end it. Now, on top of that, one thing that David Sacks did mention, and this is a big hint, and I think, guys, you got to almost read between the lines there. He was talking about certain founders were telling him all the difficulties they faced and why it made such opposition, and that they were saying how they themselves had been personally debanked. Guys, who's got David Sacks' ear? Well, that sounds a whole lot like Brad Garlinghouse, doesn't it? And of course, we know that David Sacks knows all there is to know practically about Ripple and XRP and the XRP ledger and the impacts. And that to me was a very good sign just to hear him say that. Because I do believe, guys, they're going to say the end of this whole regulation by enforcement. We want to have an environment where we can literally see things thrive. And the thing is this, I think whoever was writing their speeches and whoever was laying it out, literally it turned out to be a burst balloon because of the expectation. They could have came out and said so much more, absolutely for sure. And especially when it comes to, hey, well, what's the framework going to look like? Well, what's in your mind? It may not be in black and white yet, but you can kind of give us some guidelines as to what you see expecting. And I don't think that they got in there and really said that to the degree that we were hoping they would. And I think it's reasonable and fair that we acknowledge that. But that does not mean there wasn't a heap of positivity in the announcements right there. Because we are so sick to death of this whole SEC's regulation by enforcement. That's off the table. We absolutely need regulatory clarity to see some of the innovation and invention really thrive in this country. So that also was a big positive. Another big positive was that they want to invest in this infrastructure in such a way as to put literally the United States, the king of the hill, the tip of the spear when it comes to this digital asset space. So guys, that they've got a plan. Now, when you couple that with the executive order that was given and the timeline in there. Hey, within 30 days, you're going to have this done. Within 60 days, this done. Within 180 days, this done. So guys, it's going to happen, I do believe, in very short order, but they could have been a whole lot more transparent about it. And that's what I hope comes out. The feedback I would say is, guys, thanks for the effort, but you got to put in a whole lot more substance, really, when you're talking about this space, because most of the people in this space, come on, they are educated about it. We have been in this space for years, a lot of us. And guys, they need to speak to our language. The people that are really concerned about what's going on are those that have been here for a long time and have endured all of the nonsense that we've had to endure with this whole thing with the SEC and stuff like that. And they built up a lot of expectation, for this presentation that did not even get near what we were expecting to see. Now, stablecoins, when they did talk about that, I thought, okay, this sounds really big. And it certainly sounded like they wanted to promote the whole, US stablecoin thing. And what does that mean, guys? Well, it means that Tether is probably on the way out the door. Why is that? Well, because Tether's not based here in the United States. Remember the example they used about FTX being based in the Bahamas during this presentation? Guys, I think we're probably going to see RLUSD take a front and center stage along with USDC, and how that could totally play out, and the market cap that RLUSD could literally chomp away and eat up over USDT if it cannot pass, all the regulations that they're putting into these stablecoin bills. Guys, that could be a big time deal, and you could watch XRP ledger utilization of RLUSD and the liquidity for XRP just go nuts with that. And of course, hey, all these ETFs that are waiting for approval sitting there now, I think we got 9 of them lining up to absolutely get out there and start competing with one another for the exchange traded funds and the institutional appetite that's out there. JP Morgan is talking about multiple tens of billions of appetite. I do believe that is going to have an impact. So yeah, let's be honest and say this was a big nothing burger from what we were expecting, to be sure. But hey, when we see things going down the road, we can still actually keep our heads above water, and boy, our chins up, I'm telling you, because I do see a lot of changes coming into this ecosystem that are really going to send it. And especially when you get rid of all of this regulation by enforcement, you get a regulatory clarity environment, which is what they talked about big time, that is going to happen in short order, that is going to allow innovation and invention in this space to thrive inside the United States, and some incentives. Now, that was something I was hoping to hear, that what incentives are they going to present to these blockchain companies to entice them to remain here in the US and make the United States the absolute capital? Well, one for sure, Trump is certainly bandied about, and that is no capital gains on these digital assets that are issued here in the US. That could be massive. And boy, I was hoping to hear something like that. And I was hoping that even some of the people in the room would ask that question. Nobody really did. But I should have, boy, if I was there, I would have asked that question right off. What are the incentives? How are you going to make it happen? Hey, are you going to go forward with the no capital gains on digital assets that are issued right here in the United States, and at least get some sort of feedback as to what that was? And I think, guys, the next one that they do, they're going to be once bitten, twice shy. I think they're going to come out and hopefully be a lot more transparent about what's going down so that we can all get behind it. And I think they're going to get the feedback from the people, the executives in this space, like Brad Garlinghouse, like these different guys, like Charles Hoskinson. I do believe they're going to get the feedback. And guys, we're going to have to wait and see how they respond to it. But absolutely for sure, it could have been way better than what we got. I was expecting something way, way more significant than what we saw. But that still doesn't mean that we are not in probably one of the most bullish environments for this digital asset space from a regulatory framework point of view, from a time when they were literally against it 110%. Well, guys, they have done an absolute 180 on it, and they are now moving it forward. I think they've acknowledged that this space is here to stay, and big time. In fact, David Sachs brought up the fact that when we saw one of the biggest collapses in the history with FTX, and yet the space has fired off and doubled in size and in appetite since that happened. That shows you the power of this digital asset space. And that right there, I think, is a massive acknowledgement when you're seeing it coming out of a presidential administration and a government-wide thing, because there were members of the House there, certainly Senate members there, and on and on. And guys, we're right there. We're on the threshold. We're about to see a change take place. I genuinely do believe it. And I believe that XRP is going to be a major, major player going forward. And I think we could see something absolutely massive happen a whole lot sooner than what most people would even consider in terms of time, especially with the executive order. It just, today, we didn't get what we were hoping to see in terms of information, but that does not mean that it is not happening in terms of application right there. So guys, I'll tell you what, I sure hope you did have a great day. Lots of stuff going on in this space. And I'll tell you, for me and for Judy, how are we getting out there? I have been working with folks all day talking about getting their strategic plan. And this is a big deal. And by the way, a lot of the clients that I've been talking to today, they've been out there telling me how they were trying to take advantage of these dips, could not even touch it because, hey, they couldn't get into their wallets on Kraken and on Uphold, even with Coinbase and stuff like that. And this is where I throw Caleb and Brown out there all the time, make zero bones about it. Guys, I have been with them since 2020, and I have never had an issue getting in or getting out. And by the way, you know, you don't even have to pay 1 penny, open up an account with them, and you get an actual person, an assigned broker, where you can speak to them on the phone as many times as you like. It doesn't cost you a cent for that. The only time you ever pay a fee is when you buy and when you sell. No withdrawal fees, guys, like I've seen on other platforms, and people have contacted me and communicated with me that they face 2 to 10% withdrawal fees. Oh yeah, the trading fee is so low, but then you go to withdraw it, you're gonna pay those kind of fees? That is insane. And guys, I'll tell you what, we got a link right down there in every one of these videos where you can sign up for Caleb and Brown. They are not a paid sponsor. Someone asked that and I thought, hey, that's a good question. No problem with it. No, they are not. I just utilize them a lot. Now, if you do use that link, yeah, they do pay us a referral fee, way different than a sponsor, that's for sure. But whether you choose to use it or not, you owe it to yourself to at least take a look at these guys and see whether or not they'd be a viable solution for you when you're really going to need one. And on top of that, guys, if you have not yet really written down your strategic plan, or you don't even know where to start, then hey, get on the calendar and take our coaching and just visit us at thedigital.outlook.com and get yourself on that calendar. Guys, amazing, amazing stuff is happening in this space all the time. And I'll tell you what, one thing it is not is boring. And boy, do I ever believe we are still right there and the momentum is cooking. And I cannot wait, guys. We got that ticket. We're ready to ride this thing right through the atmosphere.